Joey and friends here to save the day. Talking about dolls and making our own way. Talking to visionaries, dreamers, and kin. Anyone can play here cause we all fit in. From Darcy to Body, from Dawn to Glimmer, we talk about world as the lights go dimmer. Follow us to a playground filled with stories and let us entertain you with tales of our glories.
Part 2 with Amy Sprouse from Tiny Ribbons.
Yeah, I've played around with the idea like what comes next for me, like past, can I grow this into anything other than this is like, well, I guess this is it. I guess this is, Tiny Ribbon Studio. I think maybe I've taken this as far as I can take it. But then I thought, what could I leave as a legacy? And I just play around with like, a friend of mine's like, well, you need to do more long form videos on YouTube and you need to build up your YouTube channel. And I'm like,
how do you have time? That's the one thing as an artist where it's like my strong suit is being an artist. I'm not a PR person, I'm not a media person, but I also don't have money to pay someone to be my PR person or whatnot. So we have to be so multifaceted. Not only are we multifaceted in our art, we have to be multifaceted in everything else that's not my strong suit, but I have to learn how to do this or how to do this so that I can be out there and present myself and whatnot. And it's hard. It's difficult.
well, the people that do it successfully are Hection and there's some other doll artists that are out there, but they don't do commission work and they don't do
Right.
a lot of their own custom dolls. It's like it's either you're going to be a YouTube
Content.
personality
Right.
content creator, or you're going to be an artist. And
Right.
now it's like I have to take time off for me to get at the mountains of bins. Not really anymore. I've gotten it way under control, but really focusing on just reselling all the stuff that I have and doing whatnot shows or selling on eBay or Etsy or wherever, because that takes a whole other, like, you've got to have like separating things by era or genre
Yeah.
and then having things paired up and like what do you want to list together and then taking the time to do all of that. And then once it's done, it's done. And I don't ever want to have this much stuff to
Right.
try to sell again.
And it's
So
finding a balance because it's like
yeah.
I do the same thing. It's like I do eBay, I'm trying to do YouTube, I'm doing TikTok, I'm doing Instagram, I'm doing Facebook. I'm trying to create collections of dolls. I'm collaborating with another artist and making another collection of dolls while I'm making this collection and this collection and doing eBay and doing whatever. And it's like, I know, it's like, oh my gosh, it gets overwhelming. People I think don't realize or understand what what we're dealing with or going through.
No,
And they'll
not
be
at
like,
all.
get
Just do
messages
it.
saying,
What do
can
you
you do
mean?
this? Can you do
Do it.
this? Can you do this? It's like, yes, but my time.
A couple of years. Yes,
Yeah,
a couple of years.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you also deal with burnout. Like I don't know about
Yeah,
you, but like I mean it's probably a little bit different for you because you are the master of your domain. You're making the dolls that you make available.
right.
It's so different having commissions and people's valuable dolls here that I'm like my fear of like disappointing somebody or like
Right.
not meeting expectations. So I have to function on such an intense level of hyper like focus and making sure that all of my correspondence is right and I'm communicating everything is so much of what I do is communication.
So
And then
people may be hating me for telling you this, that are watching, but what I did to like help myself is I stopped taking commissions. I I I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make what I want to make, whether that be like I'm creating my own doll or whether it be I'm doing repaints or I'm doing whatever. I'd be
wow,
like, okay, I'm gonna do a dozen Ken repaints and they're gonna be cohesive and a line of these Ken dolls, and then I'm going to put them out and sell them. It freed me up so much of that worrying about whether they're happy or not, whether something accidentally happens in your process and you have their precious doll. All those things kind of like I don't know, I held on to it all and it really stressed me out like to the point where I was stressed to my max because I owed people things. You know, I had their projects, I had their whatever, I had taken their down payment, and then life things happen where my mom got sick and passed away, and you know, and then you're stuck with, oh my God, I didn't expect to put time for grief or whatever's happening in my real life and still be able to meet these goals for all of these people that I'm doing commissions for. And I came to the realization for myself, I can't do that anymore. I have to just create and then offer what I've created to people to sell because I'll just go insane otherwise.
That's interesting that you brought that up because I had like um I mean, I do an 8 week turnaround time from the time the dolls arrive, and I know other artists take a year. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's insane.
so but I don't like it. I was managing. The busiest I've ever been was last year, and I was managing processing between 6 and 8 dolls a week for from the time I got back from May until I ended commissions at the end of September. And that's weekly. I mean, I was
Yeah.
like dun, 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 and I got a
Right,
system,
right.
you know, like it's like, but it was more like dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, yeah.
dun, um
You have old-fashioned Jody in her carriage, like, you know.
more of like Mickey Mouse bouncing around.
Right, right.
But it's just like, and I mean, my painting skills just went, and I was like, okay, I kind of like where I'm like, I like this comfort level. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
intimidated by eyebrows anymore. I gave them the middle finger. No, I'm just
right.
kidding. I, I
Conquered.
mastered the brows. And so but I was also, so what I wanted to say is, I, people, I also like have to step back sometimes and be truly, truly grateful for the gift of painting that I have because this is absolutely my dream job. I wish I could get hired doing it for somebody else, but I'm not
Right,
going to stop doing what I'm doing because that's not happening.
right.
But most people, or not most people, but there are many people who dream of being a full-time self-employed person, artist. Um, and so they kind of keep their hand on their regular full-time 9 to 5, and while they're still trying to do their side hustle, their hobby, and then they get to a point where they can just do that, and then it's like, oh, you've met this threshold of like happiness and glee for the rest of your life, and that's not it at all. And I'm in a position now where I left my full-time job to do this full-time, um, and now this has become my full-time job,
Right.
and but I also now want to be able to let go of this full-time job in order to pursue my own work.
Yeah, exactly.
So that
And
for
that's
me,
where we as artists have to be able to find that work-life balance because one of the things that, you know, I get a lot is I'll have popularity for one thing, like for instance, my Miss Mary Magpie dolls. I have a popularity for them and I've built an audience for them, but I don't want to, I love her, but I don't want to make her constantly over and over and over again. And so I have other projects and other dolls that I want to make and make a reality and bring in. So I'm constantly bringing something new to the table. I'm constantly, like when I'm making my trolls, I have always a new sculpt, a new character, a new whatever, because I can because I can sculpt, I can make them, I can do that. But also, I only have so much life on this planet, and I have 5 billion ideas. I want to be able to see a lot of these things to fruition and offer people new things rather than repeating myself. And I still go back, obviously, to the other collections and I do Miss Mary dolls, you know, periodically and stuff and try to like get my projects in and whatnot. But I think it's important for us as artists to be able to get the things off of our plate, get the things out of our heads that are important to us, that we want to express, that we want to do. So it's like, yes, you can master Chris's face screening and be
For eye
doing
for
that.
eyeliner flick, yeah.
Yeah, and be doing that on five, $100 for people that are constantly filling you with commissions. But you got to have something too that's fulfilling your soul and your heart with what you're doing. And eventually that's like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something different. I want to work on Malibus. I want to work on, Sweet 16s. I want to, whatever that be. It's nice to be able to have the control as an artist to shift those things and
Yeah, I think that the fear for me though is like commissions are such a core of my income every month.
right.
And when I do commission, when I do custom dolls, they sell. And then I'm
Yeah,
like, but what happens? But what happens if like I lose the audience? And I'm like, I don't think I would lose the audience. So I think I'd gain an audience. Like
you
it's
gain an
taking,
audience. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I really, probably the biggest part for me that I wrestle with is pricing my work. And I've
Yeah.
had some people be like, you are way underpricing your stuff. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, what does that mean exactly? I mean, I could
Right.
put a whatever price on it, but I guess I've slowly incremented increases because, I recently did a doll called Enchanted Seasons that I made a pattern from the Enchanted Evening pink dress. And then I made a pattern from that for myself, and then I made an outfit from that. And all told, with the reroute and the cleanup and the repaint, that was like probably 20 hours,
Yeah.
and then putting that into, I pay taxes on my business and I pay fees on
Right.
stuff and all of this stuff. And I'm like, 400, I think I sold her for 475, which is a chunk of change, but she was also sold with free shipping in an acetate box, a
Right.
display box. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, if I were to take that nearly 20 hours, 16 to 20 hours and divide, but 475 divided by, I'm like, I'm making minimum wage. And
Right.
so I'm like, what are we doing here? And that, I think I've had other artists tell me, you should be charging twice that for a doll. And I'm like, nobody's going to buy that.
Right.
Nobody's going to pay that kind of money for a custom doll. Like, I can't even imagine. Maybe they would. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
short selling myself, but I don't want to price myself so far out into the stratosphere that I'm just irrelevant at this point. So
Well,
it's a
because I
very,
do think there's a cap. I do think that with especially with like when you were talking Barbie specifically, or vintage Barbie, I do think that there's a cap where it's like, okay, that might be too, I think that there's a lot of people out there that will buy convention exclusives and auction, and some of those auctions, some of those dolls will go for a couple grand or whatnot, and I think you're in the right place of like thinking raising your prices a bit to make it worth it for yourself is really important, but also realizing that there is that kind of level of cap of what people are willing to spend, no matter that you spent 50 hours on something.
right. Yeah, which is why I don't do a lot of sewing, like custom outfits, because sewing for me is it's not my nemesis, but it's not my strongest skill.
Right.
I can, sew my way out of a paper bag, so to speak, but I can't, like, I'm not going to limit myself. I'm not going to say that I'm not a good sewer, but there are people that are much better seamstresses or
Right.
creators in that way. And I'm going to let them do that because I know how to do faces and hair, and that's going to
Yeah.
be what I'm going to
Yeah.
focus on. But
Speaking of faces and hair, I want to see your heads.
oh, this, these are like, this,
Yes. I
these
love the
are,
photograph that you posted with all the heads on the thing, and then it was next to the picture of the lady that had worked for Mattel doing the
yeah,
hair
I think
and
it's
your
it.
story. That was
Mhm.
so good. And I was laughing because I have two popsicle racks that I have little dowels in or whatever, and that's how I paint my heads and have my heads on racks like that. And I'd never seen that Mattel picture of that lady with the rack. That was the first time I had seen that photo when you had posted that. But I started laughing because I was like, we are crazy people. We are crazy artists because without even seeing that, I worked out the same kind of thing for working on my heads out of.
Yeah, because like when I'm working on something, if it's, this is a midge that I'm gonna be, so I don't want to give too much away, but it's gonna be uh she's gonna, yeah, I'm basically gonna do a whole bunch of like very elaborately done like mod 60s style hairstyles and dresses.
Fabulous.
We'll see how far I get because right now it's all about resale. But like this is just me prepping. You know, I always paint the hair, the scalp, the color of the hair that I'm gonna reroot it,
Yeah.
and then I seal that, and then but I also started on this Cali Girl Ken because this is probably one of the most attractive Kens. I mean, not right
Yes, the
now, but
Blaine is beautiful.
such a good looking Ken, and his hair was cut, and I was like, it's a perfect example for me to do some rerooting and to do some flocking on him. But yeah, I mean, this is just kind of, this is usually about how many dolls I work on at any given time. And this is, you know, some of these are for me and some of them are for resale and some of them are for restoration and some of them like this really sweet little side glancing midge head that I came across that I didn't realize I had. And I was like, I've never seen a midge with side glance. She's
That's
always looking straight
beautiful.
ahead.
Yeah,
So and her hair is really nice and I love how her little bangs are swooped over like an 80s hairstyle. But
so cute.
yeah, I just like these have been tapping me on the shoulder. But it's like my focus right now is just to get to getting the resale done. And I wanted to ask you, like, how do you handle burnout? Like, do you ever get to a point where you're like, I don't want to look at another doll, I don't want to look at another thing. I just need some time to just stare out the window for 4 days and then just eat pizza.
Cry, cry in the shower, eating chocolate chip cookies, rocking myself to. No.
You're like, Peloton, take me away. This is
Yeah, yeah.
what I want in my life. I asked for this. Like, thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that I recognized a long time ago that and I've actually talked to a few other artist friends where it's like I recognize I have that burnout. I've even had periods of time where I've thought to myself, is that magic going to come back? It's been a month and I haven't done anything and I haven't, is that magic still here? And the answer is yes. And that it's okay to take that time because what I find is that when I allow myself to go through the natural process of I need a moment. I my drama moment. I need a moment and I step away from it. My brain in the back is still churning, is still going, and when I come back and I hit that table and I pick up that paintbrush, I've even learned new skills sometimes. Like, I mean, I even am better. It's like when I was used to draw, I would draw and then I wouldn't draw for months. And then every time I would pull out that stuff and pick up that pencil, my skills got better for whatever reason, just like it just did. And so I feel like it's healthy for us to take a break sometimes and to do other things that are not doll related, which is so difficult.
I mean, it's like they're being in a small town, there's not much to do. I mean, I can go out thrifting, but the thrifting here is so picked over now because places keep stuff for their online sales. They really don't put
Right.
stuff. I mean, I literally had an employee at a St. Vincent de Paul tell me that they keep stuff for themselves
Yeah.
before it goes on the floor. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I can't compete with that. So you lost my business, Missy. No, I
Right.
can't
Right.
say that
No,
word.
it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about is like you learn a new skill, and then this is when I made this blonde Ken. I don't know if you remember him, but painting
Yeah.
this way, I don't know where this guy came out. I don't know. Sorry if you could see him, but the
No,
way
I
that
see him. I love it.
I don't
He's
know where
beautiful.
the style of painting came from, Joey. Like
Yeah.
I was literally whistling at this doll like when I was
Yeah.
painting him
Yeah.
because he turned out so handsome. And this is just a molded hair Ken that I reflocked and
Yeah.
repainted. I don't know where this freaking painting style came from. And I think it was right before, honestly. So I lost one of my cats, Charlotte. I didn't lose her, I had her euthanized. It's not just to say she didn't like run away or anything, but she was elderly in the last year of her life. It was difficult. And so 2024 was tough. And then 2025, I had to have her put down at the end of 2024, November. And then I painted through the pain. And then it was like a little bit of a blur. And I think it was just like I binge watched stuff on Netflix and I had a huge mountain of like clothes that needed to be mended. So I was very regimented on like, I was still doing commission work, I think then, but I think most of it had teetered off at that time. I can't remember. Anyways, but I had a whole bunch of clothes. So after I get out of work, like I work 9 to 5:30, and then once I get out of work, I eat dinner, and then I would sit on the couch and I would just mend clothes for 4 or 5 hours watching Reacher. That's what I was watching. Just binge watching episode after episode of whatever I could watch, and just working through, that grief and that. But I painted through the pain, and I think that this guy was painted right before I left for um, California. I think last year when I went in May. I don't know where this came from. Like
The
I remember
shadows of your
painting him.
psyche. He was hiding back there. There was some moment that you recalled in your psyche of your, like, little girl self holding one of the glamour gal boyfriends, and and it came forth
Oh,
in full force, this moment of like, this guy is hot, and you like transformed that in your brain and came out with this like new style for this Ken.
I was like, oh, let me try to flock this molded hair Ken and see how it turns out. And then, I mean, somebody online said he looked like Billy Idol, which I thought was a compliment because I loved Billy Idol growing
Yeah.
up. He's just such like I keep trying to like sell him, and I'm like, I don't think I can. So I went a little heavy on the eyeliner on this guy, but this is
Yeah.
these two, but I didn't paint him as well as I painted him, but I don't know where this came from. Like I wasn't even using anything as a reference. So I don't know why I was telling. Oh, just I think when I have the freedom of just creating for myself, it is so freeing, and I miss that when I mean I don't mean to make it sound like I'm not grateful for the commissions that I have, because
Yeah.
I it is my bread and butter, but I also recognize, like you said earlier, I don't give myself enough time to. I don't. So the Wisconsin that I live in now is very different than when I first moved here. Like there was Toys R Us was open, a Papa John's
Right.
was open, like Family Video I could go rent. I like to actually go to a store and pick out movies, and you can rent movies for $1. And there was just more. The thrifting was really great, and then I moved to Chicago to work for Ashton Drake, and then I moved back because I it just didn't work out. I moved back to Wisconsin, and it was changed in those 2 years I had left, and I was like, it's not. And since then, the toy store, the Mattel toy store at American Girl, there's been a lot of changes and shifts there, and people have moved away, and it's just not the same
Right.
Wisconsin that I fell in love with. And I keep thinking like, I stay here because the rent is so reasonable, but that's really the only reason.
Yeah.
I do like my place, but it is limiting. And then I feel like somebody brought to my attention, I I make things happen for people. Like I make doll dreams come true. That's what this person was saying to me. You make people's doll dreams come true. And it's nice to see, because I did a Facebook Live where I was opening the jean that I bought, and I was
Yeah.
like, in the Victoria Waters, I've always wanted her, and finally I have one. And they literally just like took my breath away. And the person private messaged me and was just like, it's exciting to see you get excited, or it's fun to watch you get excited about dolls, because you make doll dreams happen for so many people. It's nice that you're taking care of yourself, or whatever she said.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I'd not thought of it that way. And
We do. We have to take care of our inner child and our, and we need to have those moments.
there's no, like, I don't, there's nothing to do here. Like there's
Yeah.
nowhere to go. And it's just like, I don't have a way to recharge my battery. And I know that that is something that I want to change in 2026. But
Mhm.
aside from moving, um, I don't, yeah. So I don't know if you ever experienced that or how you
I
deal with.
do, and I think that one of the things that I always remind myself of is that I'm multifaceted as a person, and I have different loves besides dolls. Even though dolls are my business, my work, and also my passion, I also live surrounded by them every day. I love to swim. I love to just paint, or draw or whatnot. And so I feel like sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to join the YMCA and I'm going to swim 3 days a week, or I'm going to, do whatever. Like finding something that is also a passion to us that's like outside of that, it's good to have that breather because then when you, it's like a relationship, you know, when you have those, you want to be together all the time, but when you do have those moments where they're at work or whatnot, and then they come home, you're like, hi, honey, you know, you're happy to see them because they've been gone for a little bit. So if we take that little hiatus to go do another skill set or another thing that we just enjoy doing, roller skating, whatever that looks like, going
Yeah.
to the movies with a girlfriend, and having martinis or something. And then you can come back home and then look at that again. And a lot of times I get inspiration from when I'm like out doing something, I'm roller skating, and I'm like thinking about roller skating Barbie, and then I'm thinking about Xanadu, and then I'm like, oh, let's do, you know, and then I come home and I'm like sketchbook or, you know, whatever. But I think it's definitely healthy for us because we're so, when it's our business and our passion, I don't think that people realize how much of our life it actually like takes up. It's like,
Well, and I think it's easy to start taking it for granted too. And like I've had friends say to me, like, Amy, I don't think you realize like how good you are at what you do. And
yeah,
to be honest with you, I look at it as a task.
yeah,
I look at I mean I love dolls, don't get me wrong. I genuinely like love them, but it's also like it's something on my to-do list I've
it's
got to get done.
work. Yeah.
It is. It is absolutely. And but I
But
also
finding things that you love, like Gene, like when you're like saying like, oh, it was so nice to like, you know, start collecting these dolls, and I was opening my Violet Waters for the first time, and you know, being able to still tap into what originally brought us here, right? Which was the joy of enjoying other people's ideas, other people's like that were working for factories and stuff, but these are artists, right, that were hired by the factory to produce Rainbow Bright, Moon Dreamers, whatever product you name it. I think that being able to like step out of our work zone of what we do and being able to be like, oh, I got a new Momoko doll from Japan in the mail. I'm just gonna like sit on the couch and put on some fun Netflix show, and I'm gonna bring out my clothing and just sit, have me time that isn't work. I'm not sewing something, I'm not painting something, I'm not rerouting something. I'm playing with something, and it's not mine or my work, you know? And I think that that's important for us to be able to bring out your glamour gals, you know, cute little case with the revolving door and
oh, it would
like,
be the
you know,
ocean liner for me.
yes, yes.
The big
You,
ship. Do you remember that
and
huge ship that they
that
had?
ship is amazing
It
and
is, isn't it?
it's
That like
incredible.
safe in the captain's quarters with the little gold bars in it. And
Exactly. Or like, you know, in my studio, I always keep like just open up a trunk on your bed, you know, start playing, you know.
still
It's there's
happens.
stuff.
Mine would have a shrunken head in it though, but like a Nightmare Before Christmas or something. But yeah, I think that that's something that I have been I've just kind of been I've been buying a lot of DVDs and just $1 DVDs, and I have a VCR, or not a VCR, but a DVD player that I bought refurbished. And I've just like tons of Disney movies. I'm not like a Disney person, but just the
Right.
illustration, the artistry of it, and
Yeah.
just a lot of like Johnny Depp movies, like a lot of his character acting, and just a lot of just, but also like really good horror movies like The Shining and
Oh my gosh, I love horror. I'm obsessed with uh
yeah.
Midsummer and Hereditary, like the director Ari. Oh my gosh, amazing.
Hereditary messed me up for a little while though.
Right, that's
That scared
good.
the crap out of me. I was like, yeah, that was, I haven't watched Midsummer yet, but Hereditary, I was that like was stuff I had to like I had to like have, come to terms with like there's particular parts in that movie that I
Yeah.
will are like I can't look in the corners of my apartment at night with the lights
Right,
off.
right.
Otherwise, I start hearing like the head banging against the door that
Yeah.
comes down from the attic.
Midsummer will take a different kind of mental preparation to watch, but
Really?
they're
Oh,
incredible, incredible movies. But yeah, I'm
yeah.
I'm a horror buff too, and I also love the old like Stephen King and lots of the
Yeah.
80s horrors and stuff
Yes.
like that. It's funny, here we are like painting Kittles and like all this stuff, and we're like watching
Oh,
Freddy Krueger Or like, you know.
My favorite part of The Shining is when the old lady that's rotting and she lifts, like, yeah, there's like I literally this winter was like, not this winter, but like last, right before I got finished with my commissions, I was like, all work and no play makes Amy a dull girl. Like that's all I kept thinking. That's all I kept thinking. And I'm like,
Exactly.
he was onto something. Like, he knew what he was talking about because I absolutely am like,
It's true.
it is so true. And I'm like, this is like, I've got to do better about like getting some, and I want to take more trips and I want to I just wish I could find the people like me around here, but I don't
Right.
know that they are.
I
Do you
know.
find that you have a pretty good community where you are now, or do you know?
No, I mean Portland, where the show is like a 2.5, 3 hour drive for me. So I only go when I'm doing the shows and stuff. And in those moments where the shows are happening, and if I get like a hotel room for the show or whatever, and then I can have more time to spend with more like-minded people. But unfortunately, I'm in the same boat as you, as where I'm living right now. I'm totally separated from anybody who gets me in that way. It would be nice to be able to have a bigger community, but I also thought about doing my own doll club and meeting new friends because I know there's doll people around, hiding dolls in their closets or, whatever. But to try to create a camaraderie for myself here, but online, is a good thing, because we are able to connect with each other. I'm able to connect with you and stuff online. But there is something to say for us to be able to like sit at a table together and play Kiddles or whatever and just talk dolls and laugh and talk about history and what we've experienced, you
And
know?
yeah, and just like share what you have around you. Like I'm like, while you're talking, I'm trying to identify again the dolls that you have there. And yeah, and I think that you probably have a pretty good reception if you did start a club near you, because you are who you are, and people would probably be like, heck, people probably would be like, heck yeah, I'm on board with that.
Yes,
Um,
let's do dolls.
Right. Well, and I actually even thought about that during the pandemic. Was like, let's do a doll, like let's get doll people together in a big Zoom. Like, how would that be?
That would
Like
be
the craziness.
crazy.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
We'd all be talking at the same time. Because it's like I'm excited about it. It's like I can't get it out fast enough. But it's
Exactly. I felt such a loss years ago because I felt like we were so in simpatico and we could literally talk for like 20 hours. What is your best doll memory? Like Christmas morning or just like in your backyard?
I mean, probably professionally, something that I like kind of treasure was during the time. I mean, it's like, if it's kind of maybe the I don't know, there's like so many. It's like
Right.
I think so. I probably have multiple answers, but I think that as a kid, opening up a doll that I was just like, like oohing and eyeing over, which would be like Pink and Pretty or my Darcy doll, or getting Erica for Christmas from my cousin Carmen. And I loved that doll so much. I loved the
Uh-huh.
Erica doll, and that mask was ever in her translucent purple shoes. But I think heading into kind of understanding the world of reselling and eBay and all of that stuff, but then going into like starting to do research on the Kenner book and coming across prototype Star Wars 12-inch figure outfits that I didn't know what they were, and then a friend helped me discover what they were, and then
Right.
reselling those for $10,000 for 6 pieces of clothing. And um but into and that was in 2004, and then into modern day, I think just being able to be wowed at the fact that people are so supportive of my work
Yeah.
and are so enthusiastic about my work and are so trusting and just put so much faith in my work and me as an artist and as a person, and just to be able to be like, this person just paid me $1,200, and it's like I don't know that I mean it registers with me. I don't mean to like make light of it, but it's like it's incredible
Yeah.
to just be to love dolls as much as I do for so much of my life. And I think this is the thought that I had the other day. Like dolls were there for me when I was a kid
Mhm.
for so many reasons. They were a respite for me, and dolls are still there for me now,
Yeah.
and they support me. Like they support me by being a part of my life. Like that is really, really powerful to sit and think about.
Yeah. And so what do you think, what would you consider your like signature? Like, is there something that you consider kind of like this is Tiny Ribbon's signature? This is something that I feel like is something that I have perfected and that I do, and I would call this my little signature mark or whatever.
Yeah, what I'm known for. I mean, I think to have the reception of the remakes of the midges that I do, the way I don't know if you're familiar with them, but I do. I repaint. I basically paint a different shape for her eye, different than what the form is on the
Yeah,
sculpt. And she has black pupils or like a really really dark brown pupil. It's almost Bill Lilly in a way. That's what I where I took inspiration from.
yeah.
That's kind of what I'm known for. But I think also like my Kens that I'm starting to make, my
Mhm,
flocked and my rerouted Kens.
mhm.
That's like a Tiny Ribbon Studio exclusive. But I mean, I know I'm not the first person to do this kind of stuff, but
No, but it's like you have your signature like
my
touch to all of
style
this. How many dolls do you think that you have in stock for that are just like ready to go for your art, not for your collection, just for like rerouting or painting or project stuff? How many dolls do you think you have like just
hundreds.
sitting there? Yeah, yeah.
I've got. I'm staring at. I have a four shelf here, and it's got bins of just like everything's organized, but like talker dolls, 60s heads, 70s heads, 80s heads, 90s heads, newer heads, like just heads. I've got doll parts. I've got a whole bin full of just Skipper, like not Skipper, but vintage Barbie and Ken and Alan and midges. And I don't really ever need to go to a doll show ever again, but
Right, right.
I don't want to pass up the opportunity to find something really fantastic. But I hundreds, hundreds.
Did you go to school for any of your like for any of your art? Or is this
I
all self?
self-taught.
Yeah.
So the doll painting side of things is self-taught. I do have a BFA in photography, which I don't really use much. People have said if you only took better pictures of your images, you'd sell more. And I'm like, I don't have time to do like there's like with Daldom, the guy that does the person that does
Ernesto,
your
yeah.
yeah, Ernesto. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, that's his thing. That
Uh-huh.
is his thing. And I could also do something similar to that, but I know how much work goes into that. And I
Oh
don't
yeah.
have any of the props and things that in my early days of Instagram, I used to do more furniture making and miniature
Right.
making and 1/6 scale stuff, like way back 2015.
Me too. My Flickr days.
Bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a BFA in photography that I got from Kendall College of Art and Design in 2013, and that actually has helped me with color theory because it's very fine arts based. So
Yeah.
understanding paints and mediums and that kind of thing, that has helped me a lot. That that art, the fine art side of my degree has, but for the most part, it's a lot of trial and error. So it's like it's funny when not funny, haha, but interesting, funny when people are like, "Oh, if only I wish I could do eyebrows as good as you," and I'm like, "It's taken me 20 years."
Hmm, hmm.
I paint 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, for the last 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Um, I technically started kind of tinkering around with this kind of stuff in about 2004, um, but I look back at my early stuff and it's like
Yeah, yeah.
no pictures, no
I've
pictures.
had that. I've had people bring out really archaic dolls of mine, and they're like, "Oh, I have a doll of yours," and they bring it out, and I'd be like, "Oh no,
Me
oh no,
too.
I don't even want to see it. Put it back."
Are you sure I did that?
Right, right.
Yeah, I totally, I think I'm blushing. But for me, it's just like, oh, but I thought back then it was just like, but I also try to like celebrate those successes that people experience in their infancy stages of kind of pursuing this because people get so discouraged. Because let's be honest, repainting is very intimidating. I
Yeah,
mean,
it
it is
is.
like what you want to do, what, and eyebrows and lips and I mean, it's everything.
Yeah.
And I've developed a technique that I use for the way that I do my brows because I had to break it down in steps. But I want to be supportive and encouraging for people to kind of pursue this because it is a very cathartic thing to do.
Yeah.
And I you know, I don't want people to think that that has to be as good as somebody that's been doing it for 20 years or, full time for the last
Mhm.
almost 5 years because it takes a lot of dedication to do that. And I think
Yeah.
people expect like a quick, like, oh, I can just paint an eyebrow. And I'm like, no,
Right.
it's like I measure dots out and then I'm like
Yeah.
comparing things and I do it. It's a very, brows for me are, I'm constantly measuring things from the inner corners, the outer corners, where the
Yeah.
arch starts above. And so it's very technical and it's, unless you want to do a Bill Dilly brow and just be like, whoosh, and then go for
Right.
that. Like if that's your
Right.
like Julian Kalinowski style of his
Yeah.
like perfectly imperfect style that he is
Right.
very known for. And but it's also very technical because not
Yeah.
everybody can paint like that. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So as an adult, like right now, currently, what do you personally collect? Like, what right now is kind of like lighting your fire that, like, in between work, you're kind of like
Makes me
looking on
shiny.
eBay or like, having come in the mail?
Yeah, waiting for the like getting the jean stuff in the mail, getting those jeans. Um, but also, I mean, getting those little strawberry shortcake dolls that I paid $10 a piece for, or
Yeah.
getting a really minty version of the Growing Pretty Hair Fancy dress,
Yeah.
getting the little hair pieces that come with those dolls. Like just it's not one particular thing. Like I'm not a completist. Like I
Right.
just, you
Right.
know,
It's just little bits of tiny magic. It's like
yes.
those, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. It's like, oh, I haven't really thought about this stuff. I don't buy a lot for my stuff, but when I do, like, I really, really love what I have.
Yeah.
And um, what was the question again?
Oh, like what right now do you collect? Like what
Oh,
you are passionate about at the moment?
um, yeah, and I think that I have so much stuff that I can rediscover. Like or that Superstar Barbie, the promotional Superstar Barbie with the pink and
Yeah.
skull dress and the boa. I made the boa and the sequins skull cap out of stuff that I have here, but like I like built myself like a hard to find Superstar Barbie because I had that dress for probably 2 years now, thinking I was
Yeah.
gonna. I couldn't let go of it though, but it was missing the straps and it has it looks like a stain on the skirt, like a almost like, I don't know how to, almost like the silver threads are gone.
Right.
And I was like, I couldn't let it go. And I was like, I either need to sell this or do something. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to build myself a Superstar Barbie. And then I
Yeah.
did out of nothing,
Yeah.
um, out of thin air.
Out of thin
Then
air she appeared.
right, and I did a reel about it. So now I'm getting, now there's interest in that again. But I
Yeah.
think it's just, yeah, I
Um,
collect anything and everything, anything that's kind of strikes my fancy.
uh, how do people find you?
Oh, just you can just Google Tiny Ribbon Studio. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I've got a blog. Because a lot of times people think it's Tiny Ribbon Studio, but it's
Right.
Tiny Ribbons Studio. We didn't You didn't ask me where I got my name from.
Where did you get
I'm never gonna tell
where
you.
did you get your name from?
Put that on your crown. Um,
I
I
think this is a Chris or something.
Yeah, you'll
Okay,
have to
so where'd you get your name from?
um I got my name from the Tiny Ribbons, like the details and the intricacy and the delicacy and the intimacy of silk ribbons on like embroidery. So Tiny Ribbons came from just like the ribbons on Skipper's, like sausage curl skipper curls, the ribbons on like the ribbons on TNT Barbies. They're tiny little details, but they like just add so much to the entire, like the whole ensemble.
Yeah, yeah.
And just I love details. I love intricacy of like embroidery and that kind of thing. Um, and so Tiny Ribbon Studio, it's just, yeah, it
It
just
will.
kind of stuck.
Well, I can tell you, as I've gotten older and have gotten these big, meaty man hands, trying to I had a Chris that still had her bows in her hair, but they were like untied, and sitting there and trying to get these little freaking bows to be back to it is a challenge, let me tell you. I can do it, but it's a challenge.
Just Joey, these pliers
Yes,
are going to
yes.
be like, I can't do it because I've got paws for hands too. These are, I was using this today actually to tie the ribbons back on Lemon Meringue's hair because they were all,
Yeah.
you cannot do it without tools like this. I
Okay.
actually use these, and I have another pair of tweezers that I will actually, it's like, I feel like Edward Scissorhands, but it's Amy Tweezer.
Yeah.
Um, You've got to have something long like this though, because you need to reach in through that the little like loop
Right.
and grab that other side and then pull it. I'm literally tying ribbons with these things, and I actually have a note to myself to do a reel on how to tie ribbons because people
Yeah.
struggle with that.
Yeah.
Once that ribbon is cut and it gets undone,
You are,
you
yeah.
cannot do it with fingers unless
Yeah.
you have like tapered nails or something.
Yeah.
These tools are going to be like the
A
best thing, especially
lifesaver.
these
Yeah.
needle nose ply or tweezers. I can't do it without these. So
Yeah. No, that's that I was laughing because I'd had this little pink bow in a plastic baggie with my stuff because it's some Mattel from something. And I was laughing because I was thinking like I was so obsessed when I was younger with this little stupid these details and how perfectly they were able to do it. And I know through the years of doll collecting and just using these big hands to do little snaps and hooks and whatever with doll clothes or make doll clothes, I've been able to do it, but it is a challenge. And when I thought about your name, Tiny Ribbons, I definitely thought about this. But do you know what's so weird is I also what came to me with your name is My Little Pony. Like, isn't that weird? I don't know why. Maybe because they came with ribbons,
no,
they'd
I
always.
love that.
Yeah, but My Little Pony came to mind. I think there was even a Baby Ribbons
There was.
pony, but they would come with that. I don't remember how long, but they were cut, a triangle at the end, and they each came with like a little ribbon that you would tie on their tails. And so when I thought of Tiny Ribbons when I first saw that business name, that's what came to mind was My Little Pony.
I'm glad you attach it to a good memory as opposed to struggling the struggle bus with trying to
Yes. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I never thought of it that way, but yeah, tiny ribbons are definitely difficult if
Yeah.
you don't have the right hands for it or you don't have the right tools for it. But
I need to do just a whole episode or like episodes of bitching with Amy. Like, like you and me just like totally going over because
my God,
let's be honest. Like we hear a lot of these young doll collectors and stuff, and maybe they hyper fixate on one thing that they're very knowledgeable about, but they don't have the experience that we've had of literally having truckloads of dolls throughout our whole life, sifting through, having personal hands-on experience, and not
yeah,
just Barbie. Darcy, the
yeah,
Bionic Woman, Gem, all these different doll lines, all these different things. And so we're able as artists to take this library that we have of modern dolls and then translate oh, maybe we're going to take a little bit of Ideal Harmony. Maybe we're going to take a little bit of the Sunshine Family. Maybe we're going to whatever. And we're going to come up with something new, but something that's used from our vaults that we've like, reconfigured or whatever. And so I think that it would be really fascinating just to have banter about certain things. Bring out like, have like a slumber party and bring out my like big books on Barbie, all the different like Barbie booklets or doll fashion booklets and looking through them, or like the old Miller's, articles and stuff. And like,
Our stories that we have are in our own little own little corners of the world. Yeah,
exactly.
that's kind of something that I kind of alluded to or touched on earlier when we started talking about how when I came onto the scene and I felt I didn't feel very welcome by more established artists, and
Yeah,
I believe in kind of sharing the wealth, so to speak. And I've caught some flack
me
online
too.
from, I mean, I don't want to get into it too much, but
Right,
because I really don't want to give them air.
right.
But if people are not, and maybe some of that was in my own head, but if you are good at what you do, people are very uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, and very
And
defensive. And I think that one of the things that age brought me also, I was in a relationship with a Buddhist monk for 10 years, and that really like helped a lot. But we're all here for this short period of time, and if we have the passion for something and love something and want to do it, we should be working together in uplifting each other. It's like part of the reason why I wanted to do this YouTube. I'm so crazy busy. I have so many things to do, but I wanted to do this because it's like it's part of that camaraderie of we all share the same love and passion, and I want to be able to uplift everybody and lift all these artists and stuff because I think it's such a beautiful thing. And usually, through the years, I've had other artist friends that are like, well, I'm working on a project that's really similar to yours too, and like get very defensive and very, whatnot because it's this little dance, or we think in the moment that this is, our idea, no one's ever thought of this before or
yeah,
whatever, and it's like, oh no, someone else had the same pipe dream last week and they're also working on this or whatever. But the reality is, at the end of the day, nobody does it like Tiny Ribbons. Nobody does it like Joey Dollmaker Versaw. We all have our own touch, our own takes on things, and there's room in the world for everybody. So there's no reason for us not to uplift each other. Now, if somebody directly, outright steals from someone and it's very obvious that that's done, then yeah, that's something that would definitely irritate me. But otherwise, it's like, no, we're all collectively working, and I don't know, I don't have the answers to what the other side looks like, but I think that if this is coming through us as people, this is all something special and something that should be rejoiced and should be everybody's happy place, and we shouldn't be taking that away from one another. And there's room for multiple very talented artists.
yeah, and I think that that for me was something that I had to like turn inward and be like, okay, how I can't change the world. I can't change
Yeah,
online social media. People are going to react the way that they're going to react, and all I can do is just limit my subjectivity to that. So I withdrew from every single doll group I was in, like
yeah,
all even non-doll groups, non-doll Facebook groups, but it was like mid-century groups or whatever. I needed to really not be spending time like my tentacles out and just bring everything back in and get just like into a column and then just really funnel it into Tiny Ribbon Studio and on
yeah,
Facebook and really put that time into my own page because that's what I can control. I can control the
right,
content. I can control if somebody has a snarky comment or inappropriate comment. I can delete that. I can
right,
hide it. Can private message that person and ask them not to do that again.
yeah,
I'm in control of that domain, and that like taking back my peace. I always think of that like in congressional hearings where they're like, sir, I'm claiming back my time. Like they're just like, somebody else is rambling, going on and on and on and acting a fool. The person that asked the question originally is like, I'm claiming back my time, and it zips that person up. That's what I felt like. I'm claiming back my peace. I'm
Yeah.
claiming back my time
Yeah.
by just focusing on Tiny Ribbon Studio. And and it's been so incredibly therapeutic for me to do that last year. And my page is still, I would consider in its infancy, but I'm approaching 6,700 followers from like 1,000, like a little
Right.
and a half ago. And that is
Right.
getting like, it's farther reaching, but it
And it's
also,
just going to grow and grow and grow from there. I mean, with more people and more outreach and more people
yeah,
seeing how amazing your talent is. And your talent, that's the other thing. It's like your talent speaks for itself, you know? I mean, you don't need any words to look at a piece that you've done and be like, damn, that girl is good, you know?
really?
She knows what she's doing. That girl is
Is
good, you know?
that what
Um,
you think when you see my stuff? Is that what you think when you see my stuff? Or are you like, I could do that better? I would try.
No, 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 no. I think so. I'm in a different realm now where I'm just creating my own things.
Yes.
And I feel like sometimes I have a battle where it's like I did enjoy, and I might repaint more Kens or I might repaint more Barbies. I enjoy just repainting and making new faces and playing with color and stuff. But I feel like since I'm making my own things, that's another way that I was able to kind of take back those hurt feelings or those weird maybe misplaced feelings that I can't describe that I would have where it's like I would repaint something and then, a couple years later, somebody else would do something and be like, no one's ever done this before, or whatever. And I'd be like, yes, someone has done that before, and I think that by working on my own stuff, I was able to kind of not have that problem anymore because I was like, oh, well, I'm making my own stuff, so nobody really can make what I'm making, and it made me have more peace because when we talk about the competitiveness, and sometimes these are like ugly qualities, but we're all human and we all have these like emotions and feelings. So when we have these competitive feelings of like a doll show and worrying about somebody else, and whatnot, I had those feelings as an artist and as painting and seeing things, but I had to also look and be like, there's all these Russian doll artists now that are making the most incredible things I've ever seen in my entire life, like the sculpts, the painting, the whatever. I can never be that, but I can be Joey Dollmaker Versaw, and I'm really good at what I can do. And there's a different audience for who's going to want a real hyper realistic, airbrushed,
Mhm.
piece, or who's going to want something that's more stylized and simple and cartoon like, and
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, I've experienced that myself, and that's like, I think that's, yeah, that could be like a whole other 4-hour conversation, but
Right, right.
it's a very kind of like, um, yeah, I mean, it's a very it can be a tender blah, 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 blah.
A tender
It can be
topic.
a tender topic
Yeah,
because, but it's also like, well, you should be honored that somebody you're gonna even, and I'm like, well, but then I'm like, well, who am I? I'm taking a trademark doll and turning it into something new. Like,
right,
essentially, probably shouldn't be doing that. I don't know if
right.
I should be saying that out loud, but
Well, and a lot of it is defensiveness. It's like if you're getting a comment or you're getting attacked by somebody or you're ruffling another artist's feathers, it's because they're dealing with something within their own self, their own defensiveness, their own psyche that they're projecting on you. And it's the same thing that, like, pop stars have to deal with, where you have all these fans who love you, and then you have all these people that just want to tear you down. That's
Yeah.
why it's important not to read the comments and just to fly, but it's hard, because you're wanting to be a part of that community. You're wanting to personally outreach with people. So you are going to see the a negative thing or whatever, and that can really affect us deeply because we're emotional people and we take our art so seriously, and if somebody comes from for us, it's very personal, but we have to like somehow be able to remove ourselves and be like, that's on them. Like if they're, if they have, I can only do so much to try to talk to them and say like, "Hey, is everything okay?" No, I'm just doing my thing. What are you
Yeah.
so upset about? Otherwise, you just have to be like, "Well, continue on your journey. I'm sorry that I ruffled your feathers," you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, and I was thinking like I've done like hot pink haired Ken befores, and people, before, and people would call them Kendras, and like Kens don't need makeup, and I'm like, I'm
Right.
a doll artist. Like this is what I do. I'm
Yeah.
not out here trying to change the world with my art. I'm just here trying to honestly make a living, and
Yeah.
not and then just kind of appreciate being alive while I'm doing that. I'm not out here to make a
Exactly.
political statement with a doll that I made. If you took offense to that, like you said, it's literally I can't be inside your head, and I'm not out here to try to understand how every single person that views my content, how they digest that.
Nobody
And
got time for that.
well, before, like not everybody likes what I do. I get it. Like not everybody likes cilantro. I happen to grow it in containers on my garden and eat it like
Right.
whatever in the summertime. And I get that. And I'm not asking everybody to like everything that I do, but just don't be disrespectful. But
Right.
unfortunately, social media doesn't come with the requirement of etiquette classes. So you're also dealing with some loose cannons sometimes. But I wondered if you ever caught any of that in your artwork with the dolls that you do.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely have. And I think that people when they see something that's good, like uh, being I think that all of my years of doll collecting and dealing with dolls, I would say that I'm kind of a novice in a certain sense of being able to look at things and see things. When I saw your work, like I immediately was like, "Oh, she knows what she's doing. She's hitting every mark. She has her own flair to it. Like she is an artist, like it was very easily recognized, and I was able to look at your work and also see inspirations to see because I have that knowledge of,
Mhm.
the encyclopedia, and stuff, and by being a peer and being able to look at that, I can look at that and be like, damn, this girl has
Aw.
she's passionate, she's done her research, she knows what she's doing, and she's creating something that's also unique. Like, yes, there may be a familiar formula, but that formula is then reformulized into her, mind's eye and her stylization. And I just think that you're so amazingly talented, and it's so beautiful what you do, and you're bringing so much joy into the doll world through your new creations, through re-experiencing beloved sculpts or re-experiencing beloved hairstyles, and then mix and matching and throwing them on a midge or a, hey, what if this happened, and it brings a whole new light or new look to it. And then you go and you watch those eBay sales, and you're like, oh, Tiny Ribbons just started like doing this with this face sculpt or whatever. All of a sudden, the price of those specific dolls or whatever she's working on is going up, or people are like, oh, I want to do that too,
Oh, thank you so much for saying that, Joy. Like that is to be able to hear that from an artist who's also very, very like you're extremely talented and extremely inspirational, but to be recognized by somebody who is of your caliber, that really, really, really means a lot to me. It really does.
Well,
So
I'm
thank
just so excited to have you here. I'm so excited to be able to have this with you. And like, I think that,
we're doll
um,
artists at the same time. Like how
yeah.
amazing is that?
Amazing. And I mean, to be on the planet at the same time, to be experiencing the things that we've experienced, and to be able to see that through somebody else's eyes. Like I said, when I see your work, it's like I see a little glimpse in your head, in your brain, what makes you tick, what you're inspired by, and it's a thing of beauty. It's beautiful, and there's so much. You have to have passion. Yes, you could be a really talented. You could be talented at the factory at shapes or recreating something, but you also have to have some kind of soul that comes through, and you're able to do that, and that's really difficult. You're taking shapes, some of them that we know that we've seen, and then you're able to reinterpret that and turn it into something that's fresh, but yet holding that same nostalgic hold and pull. And that's something that only people that have had so many years of passion and whatnot for this can see and can do. So it's amazing. I love your work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
As you're saying that, I'm thinking of the crap that Malibu Barbie gets. Being reinterpret that, and a couple of times I've done that, and like people are just like, I was never a fan of her, but you made me love her, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a huge compliment to
Yeah.
artists that I'm so glad that I made it. I don't want to offend anybody that like I'm very careful like how I respond to things, because there
Right.
are people out there that do love the original Midge and do love the
Right.
original Ken and do love the original Scooter and the Malibu
Right.
Barbie and so on and so forth. But for me to be able to kind of win somebody over and see a sculpt, because the sculpts are all really really beautiful, but I just, I always think of that Jessica Rabbit. I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way. I'm so always
Yeah.
like, I'm not a bad sculpt, this like that's not a bad sculpt, it just wasn't painted the greatest. But I also want to
Right.
be careful not to poo poo on the person that originally conceived the idea to begin with.
Well,
So
and here's the other thing to think about. You think about like Scooter, for instance. There were hundreds of thousands of Scooter dolls made, and they all had the exact same screening. We didn't get to experience like with the Superstar face mold, which was used from 76 to 1999, and we have 500 billion different variations of paint on that sculpt. With the Scooter, we got one. We
yeah.
literally got one. And so I think that it's so awesome to be able to change that up and see it under a different light, where it's the same nostalgic sculpt, but you've brought this whole different character out of that sculpt that no one would have been able to see if it hadn't been through your vision of shapes and what you put together.
Awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's really cool
So,
to hear you say that.
but on that note, I'm gonna wrap things up.
Like a
And
bow, like
I
a
just,
ribbon.
yes. And I love
Oh,
you so much.
thanks,
And
Julie.
I'm so excited to see like where your journey takes you and all the new exciting things you have on the horizon. And I'm a big cheerleader of yours, and I continue to be. So yeah, it's exciting, and I really want to get you. I want to get you to
No,
Oregon.
I was looking at airlines, and I'm like, I need to just go because I think I'd have the time of
Time
my
of my life. Yes.
it would be beside myself.
Next on episode 2, Barry Sturgill.